A Humble Beginning, the Myth and Reality of Rome's Foundation, written by Mary Beard in SPQR, A History of Ancient Rome. Legend tells us of Romulus and Remus, twin brothers raised by a she-wolf. They founded Rome in 753 BC. This tale blends fact and fiction. Archaeology shows a small village growing on the Tiber River. Rome wasn't built in a day. From these beginnings, a power emerged to shape the world. From city-state to republic, conquering Italy, facing Carthage. Rome's early growth was slow but steady. They expanded their territory, conquering neighboring tribes. Their success wasn't solely due to military might. The Romans were masters of integration. They offered conquered people a stake in Roman society, extending citizenship and rights. This policy fostered loyalty and fueled further expansion. By the 3rd century BC, Rome controlled most of the Italian peninsula. They transitioned from a monarchy to a republic, a system with elected officials and a complex system of checks and balances. This new political model, while not without its flaws, proved remarkably resilient. It allowed Rome to mobilize its growing resources and manpower for the challenges ahead. And those challenges were coming primarily from across the Mediterranean Sea, from the powerful trading empire of Carthage. The Punic Wars, a clash of titans, shaping the Mediterranean. The Punic Wars, a series of 3 conflicts between Rome and Carthage, spanned over a century. They were some of the largest and most brutal wars the ancient world had ever seen. At stake was dominance over the Western Mediterranean, its trade routes and its riches. The First Punic War saw Rome, against all odds, building a navy and challenging Carthage's naval supremacy. The Second Punic War brought Hannibal, the brilliant Carthaginian general, to the very gates of Rome. His crossing of the Alps with elephants remains a legendary feat of military logistics. Yet, Rome persevered, ultimately defeating Hannibal and crushing Carthage in the Third Punic War. These victories came at a cost. Rome was now a superpower, but its republican institutions were strained and the seeds of future internal conflicts were sown. The Republic in crisis, internal strife, and the rise of Caesar. Victory in the Punic Wars brought immense wealth and power to Rome, but it also created deep social and political divisions. The gap between the rich and poor widened. Veterans returning from long campaigns found their farms failing. Political corruption and violence became commonplace. The Roman Republic, designed for a small city-state, struggled to govern a vast empire. Into this turmoil stepped ambitious men, like Gaius Marius and Lucius Cornelius Sulla, military leaders who used their legions to seize power. Their bloody rivalry set a dangerous precedent. It was in this climate of instability that Julius Caesar, a brilliant general and cunning politician, rose to prominence. Caesar's conquest of Gaul further enhanced his reputation and popularity. He returned to Rome, defying the Senate and crossing the Rubicon River, an act of war. Civil war ensued, culminating in Caesar's victory and his appointment as dictator for life. The Republic was on its deathbed. Caesar's legacy. From republic to empire, Augustus takes the reins. Julius Caesar's reign as dictator was short-lived. He was assassinated on the Ides of March 44 BC by senators fearing he aimed to make himself king, but the die was cast. Rome was too vast, its problems too complex, to return to the old ways. Caesar's death triggered another round of civil wars. Emerging victorious from this chaos was Caesar's grandnephew and adopted heir, Octavian. Octavian, a shrewd politician and capable administrator, understood the need for stability. He carefully consolidated his power, taking the name Augustus and becoming the first Roman emperor in 27 BC. Augustus maintained the facade of the Republic while subtly transforming it into a monarchy. He established a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity, the Pax Romana, which would last for 2 centuries. The Roman Empire was born, built on the ashes of the Republic. Pax Romana, 2 centuries of peace, prosperity, and cultural bloom. The reign of Augustus marked the beginning of the Pax Romana, a golden age for the Roman Empire. For 2 centuries, Rome experienced relative peace and stability. This era saw an explosion of cultural and intellectual achievements. Roman law was codified, its principles influencing legal systems to this day. Literature, philosophy, and the arts flourished, with giants like Virgil, Ovid, and Seneca leaving their mark. Massive infrastructure projects like aqueducts, roads, and public baths were undertaken across the empire. These marvels of engineering connected distant provinces, facilitated trade, and improved the lives of millions. Romanization, the process of spreading Roman culture and language, reached its peak. The Pax Romana wasn't without its flaws. Military expansion continued, albeit at a slower pace, and beneath the surface of prosperity, social and economic problems festered. Yet for a time, Rome stood as a beacon of civilization, its power and influence seemingly unshakable. Cracks in the facade, seeds of decline sown in glory's shadow. The Pax Romana, while impressive, masked underlying problems within the Roman Empire. One such issue was the growing dependence on slave labor. Conquests had brought in a vast number of slaves, depressing wages for free Roman citizens and stifling technological innovation. This reliance on slave labor made the Roman economy inherently fragile. Politically, the empire faced the challenge of succession. Without a formal system for choosing emperors, power struggles and assassinations became commonplace. The Praetorian Guard, the emperor's elite bodyguard, often played a decisive and destabilizing role in these power vacuums. Furthermore, the vast size of the empire made it difficult to govern effectively. Communication was slow, and maintaining control over distant provinces proved increasingly challenging. These cracks in the Roman edifice, though not immediately fatal, weakened the empire from within. The empire divided, internal strife, economic woes, barbarian tides. By the 3rd century AD, the cracks in the Roman Empire had become gaping fissures. A series of weak or corrupt emperors plunged the empire into chaos, often referred to as the crisis of the 3rd century. Civil wars erupted, further weakening the empire and depleting its resources. The economy, burdened by inflation and declining agricultural output, sputtered. Adding to these internal pressures were external threats. Germanic tribes, collectively known as barbarians, exerted increasing pressure on the empire's frontiers. These tribes, driven by a desire for land and resources, posed a constant military challenge. To cope with these mounting pressures, Emperor Diocletian divided the empire into two halves in 285 AD, the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire. This division, intended to improve governance, proved to be a turning point, accelerating the decline of the West. The fall of the West, 476 AD, a symbolic end, not the end of Rome. The division of the Roman Empire did little to halt its decline. The Western Roman Empire, plagued by internal instability and external threats, continued to weaken. In 410 AD, the unthinkable happened. Rome, the Eternal City, was sacked by the Visigoths under Alaric. This event sent shockwaves throughout the remaining Roman world. The final blow came in 476 AD when Odoacer, a Germanic general, deposed Romulus Augustulus, the last Western Roman emperor. This event, while significant, was more of a symbolic end than a sudden collapse. The Western Roman Empire had been crumbling for decades. The deposition of Romulus Augustulus merely formalized what had been a long and drawn-out process. However, the Eastern Roman Empire, centered on Constantinople, would endure for another 1,000 years, preserving much of Roman culture and law. The legacy of Rome lived on, even as its western half faded into history. Legacy of the Eagles, Rome's enduring mark on the world. The Roman Empire may have fallen, but its legacy continues to shape the world we live in today. Roman law, language, architecture, engineering, and political thought have left an indelible mark on Western civilization. Latin, the language of the Romans, became the foundation for many modern European languages. Roman legal principles, such as innocent until proven guilty, are still cornerstones of many legal systems. Roman architecture and engineering, evident in structures like the Colosseum, aqueducts and roads, inspired awe and influenced building practices for centuries. The Roman Republic and its transition to empire provided valuable, albeit often harsh, lessons about the complexities of power, governance, and the cyclical nature of civilizations. The Roman Empire may be gone, but its ghost still walks among us, a reminder of its enduring legacy. Lessons from the ashes, the cycle of rise and fall. The Roman Empire's rise and fall fascinates us today. Ambition, military prowess, political intrigue, and cultural brilliance. Even the mightiest civilizations are not invincible. From Rome's ashes, new civilizations arose. The Roman Empire's lessons urge us to learn from its triumphs and failures.